Today we will talk about data types for the course of Python for data science. It's our lecture 2. So let's get started. It's very important lecture, so I want all of you to be very focused and do also practice of this tutorial. So we can call it lecture 2, Python data types. So in all programming languages, like you know about the data types and all that stuff, like integer, string, and everything. So in the Python, similar. So first of all, we can add some input fields, more, increase it, and first one we can call it hash variable types in data science. So Python for data science. Actually, we are learning about Python first, but I always say data science along with it. So your mindset will be shifted to that step by step. And once we will start doing data science thing, then that will more encourage you all. So first of all, we have variable type in the Python, which is called integer. So integer, all you know that what integer is. Integer is a whole number that can be positive, that can be negative, but not a decimal. Okay. So what we can see is we can print an integer and we can put a value. For example, a equals 10. So it's an integer variable. And if you want to see a, you can simply write a and it will show you the value of a. It's an integer variable. Okay, it can be minus 10 as well, and either positive either negative, it's always a variable of int type. Okay, then we can have a float variable data type. So in float variable data types we have a decimal point. Okay, like for example, I have an average, which can be, for example, 76.77 is an average marks. So that will be a float type of variable, and if we print it out and see, you can see over here that's a it's pointing a float value, so that's why it's a float variable data type. Okay, then we can also have imaginary part data types, which is called a complex numbers data types. Complex numbers are used when we are doing some vector multiplications and all that kind of stuff. So how we will define it? It will be have a value and one an imaginary part. Okay, like for example, we can have I and j and that kind of stuff. That will be our complex numbers data type. Similarly, if we have over here an integer data type, float data type, complex data type, and then uh, for this, we sometime we need some random numbers. Like for example, in type of random numbers, if we want to generate marks for 50 students, then we use that, make use of that random function. So let me do it for you so you will understand it more precisely. So what we will do, we will import the random, uh, and then we will start writing it, like for example, print random dot rand range 1 and for example 15. Okay, so we want to print a number between 1 and 15. So it's 12. If I run again, it's 14, it's 8. So what is the use of random variable? So the benefit of random variable is, like for example, you are creating a data set for 100 students, and you want the marks between 1 and 100 or 0 and 100, and then you can loop through it and it will create some random variables, random marks for you. Okay, similarly, we use Python casting as well, and that kind of stuff we will further read. So basically, we have int data type, float data type, complex numbers data types. Then we can have, for example, strings data types. Okay, and you all know that what are the strings? Strings are used to store the names. Like for example, I want to store code with Tosif, and if I print it out, then we can see code with it. So it's a string. Okay, So strings are used to store the names or text forms of values. Okay, the strings are normally used as arrays as well. For example, strings as array, how it will work is, for example, if I want to print out name, and I will say what is the value at one index of this name. Okay, so we can see it's C, and if we print 0, then we can see it's sorry, that was O and this is C. Okay, so in this format, strings works as an array, and you can loop it through and then check it and see uh, what are the numbers inside it. For example, if we try it out and we say, okay, for name we want for n or character ch, we want for our string name, and then we can loop it through and we can print it out, like for example print ch. Okay, what is the issue? Ch missing parenthesis in call to print. Okay, we want the parenthesis over here. Okay, so now you can see we have looped through it, so it's showing code space with space tosif. Okay, so strings can work as an array. It's very important tutorial, so I want you to focus on this and practice it along with your words as well. Okay, the benefit of this will be when we will be studying further, it will make things easier for you if you learn it properly. Then we can also check the strings length. Okay, I make these headings for you, so once you will copy this code from GitHub, or you make your own code and want to study back in future, then you will be able to see your code and understand which thing is what doing. Okay, so what is the length of this name? It's 16. Okay, similarly, you can find out the length. You can check the strings in arrays, loop it through, and moving on, you can check the strings in another string. Like for example, if I want to see if tausif is inside a string, so what I will do is to check this, it will be like this: if tausif in where inside the name. Okay, it said true, or if I make it wrong spelling, then it will say false. So this way we can check different words inside our strings as well. The benefit of this is sometimes when you are writing programs, you need to do these things, so that will help you out. Okay, then you can make this uppercase. For example, for uppercase, you want to make it capital, then you will do is name dot, I think it's upper, and yes, so this way you will make all the characters to the capital, and then similarly you can do the lower as well. Okay, so lowercase will be name dot lower, and then you run it. So it's initially it was C capital, W and T was capitals, and you can see here everything is in small characters now. Okay, which is the lowercase actually. So there are many other possibilities with strings. Like for example, if you want to remove spaces, you will use strip. Okay, remove spaces, then name dot strip. So oh, okay, if you returns, if there is any space at the end and the beginning, then you can remove it through it. Okay, strip means removes if there are spaces at the end or the start. Like for example, if I say country equals USA space, and then I will use country strip, so it's removed the space from the end, and if I add another space at the start, it's removed as well. So this way you can use the strip to function to remove the spaces. Okay, similarly, I give you little assignment. You will learn about replace, that how to replace the characters or how to replace the names. So for example, if you are using Tosif, you use Ali or any Jack or anything else. Okay, I give you that assignment. You should try it out. Then you will also try out split, how split works, and try to split the strings in different words. Also then try out concatenation. You must need to do these things. Okay, I can teach all of the things, but those are very simple and you can easily learn and do the practice. If you have any questions then regarding this, then you can comment it out and I will try to help you in it. Okay, then you can do concatenation with spaces. Okay, so then try it out as well. So these are the basic, very basic things for the data science for the Python. With the Python, like integer variables, float, complex numbers, strings, then you can do different things with the strings. Okay, then there are many other types of data types of variables which we will be exploring in the next lecture as well. Then what we can do some magic as well, like for example we can do conversion. Okay, we can convert one type of variables to other. So for example, if we have a variable called x and that is an int variable. Okay, and if we print it out and if we check the type of this x, it's an int type. Okay, then how you check the types of a variables? By typing type. For example, if we check the type of name which we initially define over here, yes, name, yes, you can see here the type is name, type of the name is string. Okay, so if we want to convert to other variables, what you will do, for example, if here you have x as integer and then above this I add another and I will say okay, convert into float. Okay, so how we will do it? We, for example, we have a mass m variable and we will say float m. Okay, float x. So we want to float, change the type of x variable from integer to float, and then we print it out. So it's 1.0, it's added zero point 0 because we are converting it from integer to float. Similarly, so for example, let's check convert float to int, and if we have, for example, a size of 5.6 and we convert it into an integer variable and we say it integer variable s should be converted int. Okay, and then we try it out. So can you imagine what will be the answer? Okay, let's try it out. It's saying that invalid syntax. What is the mistake? Can you guys guess? Okay, we don't need to do this. Okay, it stripped out the 0.6. Okay. So why it's stripped out? Because we're converting float to int. So once we convert in int, and you know that inside integer we cannot have a floating point values. So that's how it will do the type conversion. You similarly you can try out, and I will give you the assignment to do is, for example, try out to convert integer to complex numbers. Okay, then you will try out, we have did float to into float, then also you need to try out strings to int, for example, or into string, and then see how it will show. Like you need to try it out on your own, and if you don't have success or any questions, you can comment it out and I will help you surely. But you need to try it out to learn those things. I give you small assignments so you can learn these things and remember as well. Okay, so next we will look into the other types of data types in the Python, which will be more complex, and for example like tuple, sets. So for now you need to remember these things: int, float, complex number, strings, some operations on the strings. Then this is your small assignment. I will say it, for example. Okay, task one. Okay, this is task one for you people, and this is task two. Okay, try it out and see the magic. Okay. Thank you for watching today. Let's meet in the next lectures.